Hello, I'm the 10-minute English teacher. Let's get you exam ready. Today we're thinking about writing a letter. I'm going to be teaching you how to write to argue, persuade and advise. Before we get going, don't forget to like and subscribe. There are plenty of things on the channel to help you improve your writing. Okay, let's get moving and learn how to write a letter. So if you are a GCSE AQA English language candidate, a reminder to you, you will have an hour for your reading section in your exam and 45 minutes for the writing. So the writing we're thinking about today, and after 45 minutes with me, you will have written a persuasive letter. So in your writing, this is what we do when we write a piece of writing. We start by planning carefully. I'm going to walk you through my plan for a letter today. And then at the very end, we edit, we check back to make sure that we've written accurately, but we also think about changing our vocabulary and punctuation if we want to be more ambitious. So you are marked for appropriate ideas. You want to have some really original and sophisticated ideas in your writing. You need to be accurate, which is why editing is important at the end. You get marked for your punctuation. So using a range of punctuation is important to show you have those skills. Your paragraphing is important. You get marked for changing paragraphs for different times, topics, people and places in your writing, as well as speaker. So make sure that is happening. And as well as that, you get marked for your sentence structure. So using fronted adverbials and things like that in your writing will make it more effective. You also get marked for your vocabulary and the techniques that you use. Today we're going to be persuasive, so we're going to use some discursive techniques. So discursive techniques, what are they? Here are some examples of effective discursive techniques. You are going to address the reader. Think about who is your audience and write to them. You're going to use tripling or the rule of three occasionally if you want to be persuasive. Ask some rhetorical questions to address your reader in that way. And as well as that, you might want to repeat some words and phrases in your writing. Sometimes addressing the counter argument. Some people might think that and then explaining what other people who are opposed to you would believe and then explaining why they're wrong. That can be a really effective thing to do. Less effective are these things: the opinions of fictional experts, bringing in a doctor or a bystander or someone from a university. That is less effective. It might make your piece of writing less believable. Made up statistics are something that can also make it seem quite basic. And certainly if you're given a statement to write about, starting your letter, your speech or your article with "I agree with the statement" simply isn't conventional. So don't do that. Okay, let's think about today's question. More can be done to make our local communities better places to live. Write a letter to your local council explaining your opinions on this statement. So we're going to start with our plan. This is what we're going to be working through today. So in the first 5 minutes, you're thinking about planning really carefully. If you're in an exam, you're not being marked for how viable your ideas are in regards to your local area. You're simply given this as a scenario for you to write to. So if your local area doesn't have an ice rink and you want to talk about improving the ice rink, that's fine for the purposes of a GCSE exam. So let's have a look at the plan that we have in front of us. We've got an introduction explaining the problems. We're then going to talk about outdoor spaces like parks and local woods, that sort of thing, and how we can make them better. We're going to talk about the fact that there's not enough locally for young people to do and engage themselves with. We're going to talk about how to attract more people to the town centre. We're also going to talk about community pride and improving the way that people feel about living in our local area, maybe having some awards for local people, nurses, teachers, that sort of thing. That could be something that instills a bit of pride in people that live in our town. And then we're going to conclude. And if it's a letter to a local council, you're probably going to want some sort of call to action. I look forward to hearing your response in the near future. Yours sincerely. That's how we would end our letter. So that's our plan. We're going to work through it now. So part one, you can steal my work and then you can carry on. So we've got an opening here. Dear councillors, as you are no doubt aware, our town is bereft of visitors and the local economy has suffered in recent years. I'm writing to you because. Now in this section, you're going to explain why you're writing. What are the problems that you are challenging? So think carefully about addressing your audience, the local council. You've got a formal tone here and think about some of the problems that you're going to address. You've got 5 minutes. You'll hear from me when your time is up. Okay, you've had 5 minutes. Let's now move on to part 2. So in part 2, you are going to be thinking very carefully about outdoor spaces, things like parks and woodland or whatever you might fancy. And you can start your section like this. I say section because you might want to use more than one paragraph. A rhetorical question is really effective as a standalone paragraph in its own right. We need to encourage more people, our local families and visitors from around the country, to use and enjoy our outdoor spaces. And you're going to talk about why that's important and also what can be done to attract more people to want to visit. You've got 5 minutes to write part 2 of your response. You'll hear from me when your time is up. Okay, you've had 5 minutes. Let's now move on to part 3. So part 3, you're going to write a section about what we can do for young people locally. And I've started you off like this. Young people would benefit from more social spaces and opportunities. So things like the youth club or things that can be put on for young people in the town or in the local park, that sort of thing. Those sort of ideas you might want to include in this section, and you have 5 minutes to do it. You'll hear from me when that time is up. Okay, you've had 5 minutes. Now let's think about part 4. Part 4, we're going to talk about the town centre. How can we attract more people to the town centre? It might be that some new shops need to be opened, maybe having a weekly market or inviting people to take part in a farmer's market in the town, something like that once a month. Those sort of things. You could talk about making it more accessible to for parking. That sort of thing is something that would possibly encourage more people to visit the town centre. So you've got 5 minutes now to write about how to make the town centre more attractive to visitors. You've got 5 minutes. You'll hear from me when the time is up. Okay, you've had 5 minutes writing about improving the town centre or in making it more attractive to visitors. Now we're going to move on to part 5. So part 5, we're going to talk about the idea of a community awards event. We want to inject some pride into our local community. What better way to do this than to, and then you're going to explain the idea of having some sort of community awards where you can celebrate people like doctors, nurses, teachers, whoever it might be, that have served the local community. Doing something like that once a year might inject some pride into that community, and you've got 5 minutes to sell that idea to your local council. You'll hear from me when your time is up. Okay, you've had 5 minutes. Let's move on to part 6. So part 6, we are going to sum up. So you're going to remind your reader of some of the things that you've argued in favour of. You've been talking about outdoor spaces, things for young people. You've been talking about community events to make local people more proud of their local area. So you're going to sum up by reminding your reader of some of the things that you have argued in favour of. You're then going to say that you look forward to hearing back from them. So I look forward to your response. And then you're going to sign off yours sincerely and provide your name. So this is part 6. You've got 5 minutes to remind your audience of your arguments. You'll hear from me when your time is up. Okay, you've had your time and now you should have in front of you a well-rounded whole text. There's one more thing we need to do before we are truly finished, and that is edit our response. So what you're going to do is check the accuracy of your spelling, punctuation and grammar. You will have likely made some mistakes. This is the time for you to find those. But as well as that, change some of your choices of your vocabulary by striking a line through them and writing a more ambitious word choice above, not in the margin. So that's one thing that you can do to improve your outcome. But as well as that, you might have found a comma that you can turn into a semicolon, or an opportunity for you to use a dash as an extended pause. You can see an example of me doing that on the page in front of you now. You've got 5 minutes to edit your response. You'll hear from me when your time is up. Okay, we now have finished our piece of writing. It's time to just remind ourselves of what it is we're looking for when we write a piece of really effective writing. We're looking for appropriate ideas, that's why we plan. We're looking for accuracy, that's why we edit. We're looking for punctuation, that's ambitious, and as well as that, we're showing that we can group ideas by paragraph. We may have used some ambitious sentence structures today, and our vocabulary and the techniques that we use will also make our writing sophisticated and credible. Okay, check out the other videos on my channel. I'll continue to add content. Feel free to ask something you'd like to see me cover in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share, and keep revising.